to put it reloaded so everyone can watch it later. So apologies, I have had some trouble now with the live stream from my computer. So I've had to change the link a few times. Hopefully some people will join. If you do join and you're seeing this, please comment so I can see if anyone can see this or if you can hear me. Not that sure about the sound levels. Okay. Anyway, so this video is going to be about doing different costings and how to confidently price your items and to confidently tell people that price. I'm just going to be reading from my screen here, so just apologies for that. I was hoping to share the screen. It is my same PowerPoint presentation that I've done a few times that people have seen before, I'm sure. There are a few videos about it, but just as a guideline to remind me what I'm saying. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is that we're all working on this together. Everyone's in the same boat. I don't think there's anyone who is not battling with this. And I think everyone is battling because of late the cost of ingredients has gone up so much that it's quite a challenge to even keep, hello, add. Okay, I don't know what's happening here. Do I have to invite you? This is very complicated. Am I doing this right? Anyway, how do I see the chat? It's not very live chat. Okay, never mind. So everyone's in the same boat. Add. Oh, there we go. Look, you're on the screen. Hello. How are you?
Fine, and you?
Fine, thanks. I don't know what I'm doing here. I think I've done this wrong. I didn't expect other people to be on the screen with me.
Oh, so it's not like a normal YouTube video then?
I thought it was. I don't know. I couldn't get my computer to work, which is where I've normally streamed from. I don't know. And I think you're the only one here. And can you only be here because I added you?
I'm not sure.
I'm going to remove you, I think.
Okay.
I don't know. Will you let me know in the chat if you can still see me? Oh my gosh, now I've just axed you. No chat. I have no idea. Should I restart this? I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, let me just carry on talking. We can make the video available for everyone later. So the costings, obviously we have to start with the very basics. The first thing you need to do is take the cost of the ingredients for every recipe that you make and work out what the cost of those ingredients are to make the recipe. So the way you're going to do that is you're going to take your recipe and you're going to take the different ingredients prices and you're going to look at how much that the ingredient is sold as. So let's say you're paying 40 Rand for a bag of flour and the bag is 2.5 kilograms. So that's 2,500 grams. So 2,500 grams, obviously if your recipe is in grams, you need to make the ingredient into grams. Then you take the 40 Rand that you've paid for that bag, divided by 2,500 and times that by whatever's in the recipe. I think that is fairly basic to understand. If you don't know how to do that, oh, thank goodness that noise has gone off. You can just let me know. I think a good option if you're battling with that step is to get the costing tool or to make yourself a Excel spreadsheet. So for the Excel spreadsheet, I have made this one, the costing tool, and it's just 100 Rand, and it's just an Excel or a Google Sheets sheet. And you can just put your recipes in there and it works out, what helps you to work out those costs. It's very useful because there's one place where you put the ingredient prices and then all the recipes that use it will be updated. So it kind of references those prices. So if your cost of butter is going up a lot, you simply input the new price, and then all the recipes that use butter will be updated automatically. But you could make your own sheet, or you could just do it on a piece of paper, whatever method you use. You're going to work out what it costs you to make the recipe. And you do that for each ingredient, and then you add it all up to get a total for the recipe. I don't know what's happening here. So that total is just the cost of the ingredients. So obviously there are other costs involved. You're going to take that total and times it by at least 3. It could be more. I'm going to go over what the thinking is here and what the approach is. 1/3 will be your ingredients. 1/3 will be your overheads. So in this case, it might be electricity or petrol or data for your phone or tin foil, coloring, boards and boxes, everything else that you need to make your business go. And 1/3 is your profit or your labor, if you want to think of it that way. And that will take you to a selling price. So that works for a very basic cake with minimal decorations. So let's say it's just a plain carrot cake. It costs you 100 Rand to make it, and you sell it for 300 Rand, and you should be putting 100 Rand of that into your pocket. The problem is when the decorations are very complex, this formula doesn't allow for the time that it takes to make those items. So for instance, it can be very time consuming to make something like a sugar rose, but the ingredients are negligible. It doesn't cost really much in terms of ingredients to make that. It's all about the time. So in those cases, I would suggest that you take your cost of ingredients times it by 3 and add on your extras. So I add on things like decorations. I add as a separate cost. And you can either work that out in a per hour rate. So you can say, well, I'm charging 50 Rand an hour. It's going to take me 3 hours to make those. I'm adding 150 Rand. Or you could go down and compare prices with someone else who's making a similar product. So if you went to the baking shop and you bought a rose there, what would the cost be? You could kind of match that. Or you could, those are my options. Sorry, I don't have another one. So those are the options for that. Then I would also add on fresh flowers, cake toppers, special boxes, all of that, and I would mark those things up. So if I buy it from the shop for 50 Rand a box, I would definitely mark that up a bit. Because I still have to go down to the shop and fetch it. I still have to store it. I still have to make sure that it doesn't get flooded, etc., etc. So all of those are things that you need to take into account when you are adding your markup. And I also would like to stress that you need to set the expectation with a quote. So when somebody approaches you to make a cake, you give them a quote that tells them exactly itemized all the things that you're going to do for them, and then stick to that. Because I think the temptation with a custom cake is to really go above and beyond and create something that's really out of this world, and you put a lot of extra time and effort into it, which they're not really paying for because it's more than what you originally quoted. Then the next time when that same customer comes back to you, if you don't exceed their expectations in that same way, they'll think, oh, the quality of your work has really gone down. So I really would encourage you to set that expectation early on. Be clear about what you're going to make and what they're going to get, and make sure that that is what you provide. I know it's tempting to do more, but just do what you said you would do. If you do want to add more or whatever, I think you need to make them aware that that was an add-on that you did. Because I think it leads down the line of, well, suddenly you're now producing less fancy stuff for the same price, and people think, well, what's happening? I quote on all the jobs I do, even if it's a small job. I will always send an invoice or a quote that they can accept, and on that is my terms and conditions, especially around payment, when they must pay, what they must pay, how they must pay, all of that. But also exactly everything that's in it, the size of the cake, the flavor of the cake, the color of the icing, everything, so that they know and I know what is expected. So when we get to the day, everyone is on the same page. I don't know. Are there any questions? How do I see the chat? How do I see the chat? Okay. Okay. If someone's watching and they have the energy, why don't you put a message on there so I can just see how the messages are in case anyone's asking questions. I feel like I'm a bit dumb here. Okay, so moving on with this presentation that you can't see. I think the biggest problem that all of us have. Hello. Oh, there we go. I see a chat now. How do we know what to make our hourly rate? Thank you, Chantal. I think that is actually what we want to talk about today. So all of this other stuff is it's the money, the maths, not the magic. What does Dr. Phil say? Something like that. And so I was saying to the people that came to my in-person class the other day, and I'm going to say it again now, I could just as easily call this the self-esteem club. Because how do you set a value to your time? And if you don't value your time, or you think you're having imposter syndrome, or you're thinking you yourself are not that valuable, you're not going to put a proper value on your time. So obviously you also can't make it so expensive that no one will ever buy your cake. You have to find a happy medium. And it does improve the more experience you get and the more time you spend doing this, the more likely you are to be faster. So you can do more with your time. But that is a very good question. That's exactly the question. So I can't tell you what to set your time, the value of your time as. But what I do encourage people to do is take a moment and think about what your time is worth in other aspects of your life. So a few years ago, I went for a haircut. The woman cut my hair in about 20 minutes. I was in and out. I didn't have a blow dry. I just had a cut. And I paid like 400 Rand for it. And at the time, I had a cake that I was selling for 400 Rand that I had to go home and do. And I knew it would take me several hours to finish it. And I thought to myself, her time is more valuable than my time. And I'm not underestimating that she had obviously her overheads and whatever. It's not exactly comparable. I understand that. But from that 400, I still had to take out the cost of the ingredients, etc. So for me, to keep the perspective, I try to think about what would I rather be doing? Could I spend an hour playing with my kids or earn this 20 bucks? Actually, I'd rather not have the 20 Rand and I would rather just spend the hour playing chess with my kids or whatever. So for me, that is how I try to keep that perspective. And that's where the confident pricing comes from. That's where being able to stick to it comes from. And it's very depressing when you quote and people say you're too expensive, or they don't accept your quote, or they just ghost you, which I think all of those things happen all the time. So for me, I would rather do that than work myself to the bone and earn 20 bucks and be shouting at my kids because I'm stressed and I haven't made supper and whatever. You know, I'm sure you know. So, yeah, I've just lost that train of thought too. Does anyone else have any more questions? Put your questions. I like questions. Okay, let me see what's next on this page. The trains are derailing here. I was teaching a class this morning and I think I used up all my attention. Well, here's WhatsApp. Maybe the WhatsApp people have questions. I was hoping to share this. I will share this in the group. So if you're not, I don't know, I can't see who's watching, but if you're watching from the group and my WhatsApp group I'm talking about, I will make sure I share this video and the presentation that I'm reading from into the group so that you can see what I'm talking about. If you're not in the group, just send me a WhatsApp and I can join you. It's just a group of bakers who are just having communal chit chat about baking. Oh no, now my mouse has died. It's not my day. Okay, so a few things just to go back to some of the nuts and bolts of it. Keep all your slips so you know what you're doing. Calculate for every recipe. Do not try to wing it. That is a bad idea. Speaking to a woman this morning, she said she was making cheese and onion breads and she was selling it half the price almost of what she should be selling it, because she didn't actually work out how expensive that cheese is, and it really adds to the cost. So that's a good example. For her, she said it's even not worthwhile making that bread anymore because no one will buy it at the more expensive price. And that's how I feel about cheesecake. So make sure that you keep track of those slips and that you know what you're spending. And also, as the prices change, you can keep track of that. I also would say keep track of who's having specials and shop those specials. But when you do your costings, use the normal price, not the special price, because there's no guarantee you will always get it on the special price. And shop around. So make sure you're comparing prices between different shops to find who's got a discount or whatever, or who's generally cheaper. Usually not all shops are cheaper with all things. So you can just shop around and see. And also you would want to calculate your serving size. So that's more like a guideline for yourself and for the customer. So you can say this cake feeds 10 to 12 people or whatever, so that you can work out a kind of basic per head cost. Just to see if you're in line with things like, I don't know, even you could compare to something like the mug and bean. A slice of cake at the mug and bean is like 60 rand. It is a big slice. I don't know, I actually don't eat cake at the mug and bean, but you know the story, you know what I mean. In the case of something like a biscuit recipe, you would take the whole cost and you would divide it by how many biscuits it makes to get a per biscuit cost or a per whatever. If it's decorated biscuits, though, that is difficult because they can vary wildly in size from something that's quite small to something that's quite large. And the large ones have a lot more dough involved. Okay, I think I've been through how to work out the costing. I think I hope we're all confident on that. Always make sure you're comparing grams with grams or kilograms with kilograms or whatever. If the recipe has like milliliters of flour, but you're buying it in grams, just go online and type into your Google search engine, search bar, how much is 100 mils of flour in grams, and it will give you a number, and just use it for your costings. There's lots of conversion tools. I wouldn't use them as a recipe guideline, but just for the costing, it's fine. And the things, just to go back briefly to the overheads, so things like electricity is very expensive. It might be a worthwhile exercise to keep a track of your overheads for a month or two. And if you did your bookkeeping, you would have a good idea of what those things are. And just see if you are exceeding your ingredient cost. If the overheads is more than the cost of all your ingredients, then you need to have a rethink about your costing method. And obviously, the cost of your ingredients is going to determine the end price. So if you use margarine instead of butter, for instance, there's quite a big price difference. The margarine item is going to be cheaper than the butter item because you've used that cost to work out the final selling price. And I think that you need to also do a little bit of market research, discuss it with your customers. Are they people who care about real butter, or are they people that just whatever the cheapest is fine for them? In the area I live in, people are very keen on the real butter, the free range eggs. If they could have organic coloring, they would have it all. They would do it all. So I use those things because that's what they want. But, not every customer cares about that. I think they may even be the exception. Okay, and then the add-ons, I don't itemize those add-ons. I just work it out for myself. If there is a particularly expensive add-on, then I might itemize it to the customer or draw their attention to it. So they send me a picture of like something with 40 sugar flowers, and the price I know is going to be astronomical to make all of those. I might say to them, I love your idea here, but these sugar flowers do make it expensive. Would you be interested in doing something similar with fresh flowers or fewer flowers or whatever it is? And the same thing, if they come with a reasonably small budget and they want Spider-Man figurines and the whole story, but they don't have the money for that, talk them into like a print cake or something, an alternative. So you're keeping that customer, that's still your customer, and you're still going to make money from them, but you're not you're not making a loss to give them their dream cake. Everyone goes away happy. Another thing I would encourage you to do is to upsell. So that means that if you get a cake order for Spider-Man, you say, well, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I also do cookies and party packs, or whatever. you do, balloon arches, whatever it is. And then they don't have to take you up on that, but I found that that can turn a customer that's bringing me a reasonably small order into a considerably more lucrative order from the same person. Because if you have to keep going out to find new customers, it's quite exhausting to find people that new customers all the time. Things like delivery, I will itemize separately. If it's a special topper that I have to get separately, like specially cut, I will itemize that and say, look, this topper is going to be 200 extra. That kind of thing. And I would also please encourage you to take a deposit for every order you make, a 50% deposit or a full payment, whatever, if it's quite small, before you start baking. I have had a lot of difficulty with customers over the years, and I've become very strict. I just don't have the energy to be chasing them. And if we're getting down to the wire, I will send them a nice, friendly message that says, please note, I'm going to start work on your cake in the next whatever. I need payment before I start. And usually if they've paid a deposit, then you're golden. They will complete the transaction with you, no problem. I've not had any problems. If they have difficulty paying the deposit, get rid of them. They're not the customers for you, I would say. So let's talk briefly about marketing yourself. This is something that comes up a lot. The first thing you need to do is make sure you're presenting to the world the face that you want them to see. So take lovely pictures of your cakes or your products, whatever they are. Don't take a picture with all the dirty kitchen stuff in the background. Just looking at my messy kitchen there, put my head in the way. That kind of thing. Make sure you've got a nice picture of your cakes. Don't try and pass off other people's cakes as your own. I feel that's obvious, but sometimes maybe we just need reminding. And then get yourself some kind of social media. So I have on the WhatsApp group again, some people were saying they don't use Instagram. I would say get an Instagram account and put your cakes on it. Even if you don't have a lot of followers, even if you don't do it regularly, just have it there and have it waiting. The reason I say that is you may not get work directly through Instagram, but people will want to stalk you before they order from you. And we all do it. So just make peace with it. They want to go online and they want to see pictures of stuff you've made and decide whether you're the person that they trust to make their thing. And that could be Facebook, it could be TikTok, it could be Instagram. I recommend just put some pictures of your cakes up on those platforms. So if someone is looking, you don't necessarily need to like try and get extra followers or whatever. But if someone's looking to see what your quality of your work is, you can direct them to one of your social media platforms to look at it. And like things like a website, I think that's well exceeding the level that we necessarily want to be at this point. Don't rule it out for the future, but you could just make a little blog or just social media, I think is adequate. As long as your contact details are on there and people know how to get hold of you, that is the way of that you need to go. It costs you nothing to do that, just a bit of time, and put your best pictures up there. If you want to put a price list or something, you can also do that. I don't like to do that because I quote for everything. Prices are changing quickly around here, so I don't want to tell people what the prices are. Also share your work into your local groups, and like let's say you're doing kids cakes and you want to get more kids cakes, you can put the word out at the school where your kids go. Like my children's school has a weekly newsletter, and I think it costs 40 Rand to advertise in that. So I do that from time to time, just remind people that I am available to do cakes, that sort of thing. Or if I'm running a kids class, then I put it in there, before the holidays to tell people that it's coming. Obviously, if you're looking for brides, you want to go to a place where there might be brides. You know what I mean. And you want to offer your customers value. So when you say offering them value, it's not just about what you're giving them with their order or what just doing their order. It's all the other stuff, the frou-frou stuff that people love. So that could be fancy packaging. That could be a little note that says, thank you so much for ordering. It could be offering discounts or giveaways or whatever. And I think some of the biggest ones that I've written on here are convenience and customer service. So convenience, is it easy for them to order from you? Is it easy for them to pay you? Is it easy for them to pick up? I think that's something certainly my customers are very interested in. Am I close enough? Do they have to drive miles? Can they come after hours to pick up? Whatever. And customer service, obviously, that is dealing with complaints, but it's also answering in the timiest manner, getting back, being professional, offering, an invoice or a receipt or whatever that they need, that kind of thing. And I think if you're worried about a complaint, or if you have had a complaint, what you want is to turn that complaint into a gold star. And you do that by taking the complaint and offering them the best possible customer service. So the example I would use is if you're in a restaurant and you order something and there's something wrong with your food, what the restaurant wants for you to do is to immediately tell the chef so the chef can do something about it and make it up to you. What they don't want you to do is not say anything and then go to all your friends and say, I went to that restaurant and my steak was so undercooked. Just terrible. Or worse, to go onto social media and complain in public about bad food quality or service or whatever. If you complain then and there, they have the chance to make it up to you. And they could be like, well, we're happy to offer you a free dessert and here's some wine and whatever. I don't actually know what happens in restaurants because I've been to restaurants and my kids are born. But you know what I mean. So in that case, you leave going, oh, I went to that place and my steak was so undercooked, but they were so nice about it. And they really made it up to me. That's what you want. So I would, even if it's hard, suggest that you ask for feedback from your cakes if you can bring yourself to. I find it very hard. So ask people if they were happy with the experience, or is there any constructive feedback that they could offer. Yeah. And if there is a complaint, if there is an issue, obviously, like let's say it's a wedding cake, you can't be like, I'm so sorry, I'll make you another one for next weekend. It's just not going to fly because it's a once off. And that is actually the problem with all of these custom cakes. So if you have made a genuine error, I think you have to offer them at least a partial refund. I do ask them to bring it back so that I can see. So let's say there's something actually wrong with the cake. I need to see that. And if they've eaten the whole thing, I'm sorry, I don't believe that there was something wrong with it. If it is in that gray area of they just didn't like the color or something, I wouldn't offer a full refund, but I would go as far and above and as beyond as I could afford to go to make it up to them. Offer them a future thing, or say, I'm testing out a new recipe this weekend. Would you like to? I'd love to make a cake for you to sample to make up for it, or whatever you think could make it up to them. And turn those slightly unhappy customers into the 5-star customers that say, I ordered that cake from Julie and she put some crazy coloring in there. She was so nice about it, that kind of thing. And that word of mouth will spread and people will come to know that you are someone who goes above and beyond and who really cares. And in my experience, people love to support people they know. So word of mouth is always going to be your best source of marketing. And tell people. So just go and tell all your family members and all your friends that you are currently looking for work. And if they hear of anyone, they should recommend you. If you do a cake for someone, drop off some cards with the cake. If he's doing a kids' party, drop off a couple of cards with the mom and say, hey, if anyone asks, would you mind giving them my card? If they say no, that's fine. That's fine. But it doesn't hurt to ask. And usually that is the best way to get business, because what happens is all the moms are going to attend the party. They're all going to taste the cake and say, this cake is amazing. Who made it? Oh, yes, great. I'll use the same person for little Johnny's party. And if you're going to work for free, which I really don't encourage, but if you are going to do cakes for your family and friends, then please make sure that they are not running around saying that it was so cheap and they got it for free and whatever. That they are running around talking you up. This is my sister. She made this cake. It was amazing. Look how great it is. She's in business. You should go to her. Here's her card. That kind of stuff. Okay. And if they're not like that, just don't make cakes for them. Okay. So finding this price point is really, again, what we're here to discuss. And I really don't have a solid answer for to tell you what you should sell your cakes for. Because I don't know what ingredients you used, how long it took you, what your level of skill is. And it can vary wildly from one person to another. So somebody in one of my classes lives an hour's drive from the town. So she has to buy in bulk because she can't just be nipping into town for a box or whatever. And the cost to get those ingredients is quite a lot because she has to travel so far. So that kind of thing, obviously, if you've worked out your costing, then we can talk. So some of the things that I think you need to make your decisions about before you decide on what your price point is what are your customers, like I said earlier, what is important to them? Is it just the price? Is it the quality? Are they butter people? Are they marge people? And make a decision from there. I think you should check out the competition, find out what other people are charging. I think that is quite helpful. I have noticed that there is some animosity towards bakers that are undercharging. So bakers who've reached the conclusion that they are worth it and are now charging a proper price are just very irritated when other people come in at low prices where they're clearly not making any money. And I think doing that undervalues the whole industry. So I would encourage you to not do that. Don't piss off the other bakers. I think there's an important distinction between value and perception of value. So when the customer comes, I'm sure we've all heard this many times, but I can go to Spa and get a cake for 100 Rand. They have not perceived our value. They don't think what we're doing is that valuable. They think it is equivalent to eating a 100 Rand Spa cake. And to be honest, those are just not the customers for you. You can try gently to educate them about what the difference is, what you're providing that's different. But if they do not perceive the value in what you're doing, then it will always be a grudge purchase for them. It's not important to them. Otherwise, they would be willing to pay for it. I think I did say this before, but offer a variety of options. So if they're coming in with a low budget, give them an option that's in their budget and try not to lose those customers. And what you really want is repeat customers. You want returning business. You want to be able to know, especially let's say you're doing birthday cakes and you're working for a family that has 3 kids. You know that they're going to come to you 5 times a year. Mom, dad, 3 kids. Everybody needs a cake. They may not be the biggest or most wildly amazing cakes ever, but you just need like 10 families like that, and your calendar will be full of cakes. So try to get that kind of returning client loyalty. That's going to serve you in the long run, I think. I think we've talked about dealing with complaints. I do think that it is very easy to pass the buck if you're dealing with a complaint, because it's easy to say something like, oh, I left my domestic worker in charge of the oven and she's fucked it up. Sorry. But nobody wants to hear that. If something has gone wrong, you need to take responsibility. These are small 1-man, 2-man, 1-woman, 2-woman businesses. It's only us. It is only us. If an error happened, even if someone else made the error, we're still the boss and it's still on us. Yeah, I don't think you can blame anyone else. And I do hear people saying things like that, and it just makes me want to be sick. I hate it. That's my story. Okay, that's the end of this story. So are there any other questions here? I still don't know these chats. No more questions. I'm happy to chat more. Oopsie, I'm making the screen bounce around. Chat more about this in the WhatsApp group, everywhere, anywhere, because I think it's an ongoing conversation that we need to have. And what I was saying in my in-person meeting as well was there was a woman when I first started out who was giving classes like this for free. And I remember thinking, well, that's so weird. She's charging for all her other classes. Why does she do this for free? But now I have a much better understanding of why she was doing that, because it strengthens the whole industry for everyone. It serves me, it serves you, it serves everyone. And the other thing that I think about a lot is how we are all working on our own, in our own kitchen, doing our own thing, trying to get our own customers. And I feel very moved that we should have some kind of collective cooperative effort. So, some kind of way to collectively market or collectively purchase that would make us like a big corporation, except for individuals. If that is something that interests you, please send me a message, because I don't quite know what that means or how to get that off the ground. But I do feel that it is. Yes, you can have my number to get on the WhatsApp group, no problem. It's 083 402 2331. I will put it in the comments. I don't know how to make a comment here myself. Yeah, or just send me an email, which is julie@juliescakestudio.co.za, and I'll add you. The group is very helpful. I think quite a lot of people are on there. I think it's like 170 people or something. So it can be a little bit busy with messages, which is not always the best. But usually it's people sharing cakes, sharing ideas, asking questions, sharing recipes, that kind of thing. I think everyone gets a lot out of that. And yeah, I don't know. Let me just see here. I'm just going to check on my mouse is dead. Check on here to see if anyone is. Heavens to Betsy, what is happening here? Anyone else is looking for questions? No, I don't see any other questions there. I don't know what else I'm going to say. The trains are derailed. It's definitely more time for more coffee. If you are interested in purchasing the costing tool, just let me know. That is on my website. And I can just send it to you. You know, just you don't have to purchase it through the website. You can just let me know. Also, we have quite a few classes coming up. So if you have followed me on my other social media, this is my garage renovation that we've been doing here. It does have some problems. Let me show you the problem. So over there, I don't know if you can see it, the wall is like weeping out this weird blue liquid. I need to paint one of those crying smiley face emojis on it. But it has meant that we can give more classes over the weekend, in the evenings, and so on. I'm also planning to do a few live streamed baking videos. So if that's of interest to you, those will probably be on Thursday mornings. I have scheduled demos for those days, but if no one is actually attending in person, I will be giving the demo online. And I'll make those videos available after as well. If you're working, you can watch it later. Yeah, and actually go spread the word. There we go. See, I'm asking for word of mouth. You're on it. And tell all your friends. And if you have questions about the costings, please do put that on the WhatsApp group, or send me a message or whatever, put it somewhere, because I'm more than happy to answer. And I don't think they're stupid questions, because I think everyone has the same questions. People ask me the same questions all the time. So I'm sure that your question is, everyone is keen to hear the answer. And if you have any suggestions or ideas for other people and about their costings or things to do differently, I think everyone would be excited to hear that. Yeah, that's my story. Let me just see here. No more questions. I don't know. I hate these live streams. There's always these weird lags where people are like, just reading the comments. Yep. So that's my story. I'm going to wrap this up and go and get a coffee. And I look forward to hearing from everyone about their confident costings. What I did want to say, sorry, one last thought, a closing thought here, is if someone comes to you and says, you are too expensive, please rephrase that in your mind, because what happens is in our minds we hear, I am not valuable, I am not as good as a spa cake, I'm only on the level of a spa cake. That's not true. Rephrase it in your mind, or even say it directly to them and say, I think what you mean to say is, I am not in your budget. And that change in wording has made all the difference to me, and being confident about my pricing. I'm just not in their budget. I'm a Gucci and they just can't afford a Gucci this month. Anyway, so have a wonderful weekend. Go do your costings and I will see you online. Okay, how do I end this thing now? Oh my gosh. Do I just close it? End stream. Okay, bye.